Sometimes you need to dynamically load a script file inside the Vue.js component. That component can end up being used in multiple places on the same page, so you also need to make sure the script only loads once and not for each component instance. In this video, we'll write a Vue composable that does just that. It will take a script link as a parameter and then load that script to use it inside our component. As an example, we'll try loading the Google Maps API script inside this address field component. We won't be focusing too much on how this script will be used. All I want for now is to be able to load it and make sure we only do it once, regardless of how many address field components are on the same page. To create an autocomplete address field using Google Maps, you need a reference to an HTML input element, and we do that here with this street_ref. This points to an input element I have in my template. However, because we are working with template refs, we need to make sure we execute this inside the unmounted hook, otherwise this will be null at the time of execution. So let's add that unmounted hook. I'll grab this and paste it here. Now, before we run this, we'll need to wait for the script to load. So I'll create a new promise. We'll pass it a function that will receive a resolve and a reject callback. The resolve function should be called once the script is loaded, while the reject function should be called if something goes wrong. But if everything goes well, we can call the then function, and inside it we'll initialize the autocomplete. Now, if I refresh the page, nothing happens. That's because we didn't execute neither the resolve or the reject callbacks. So if I call resolve and then refresh, we are getting this Google is not defined error. That's because the script isn't being loaded. We should only call the resolve function only when we know the script is ready to be used. Now, the first thing we need to do is to query the page for an existing script for this source. If it doesn't exist, we'll need to create a script element and attach it to the page. So let's do that. I'll create a script variable and we'll do document query selector script source equals with our variable. So if we didn't find a script, we'll do script equals document create element script. This will create a script element. Then we'll set the source to our source variable. We'll also set a sync to true. This way the script will be executed as soon as it's available. And to keep track of the status of the script, we'll also do script set attribute data status loading. So we'll use this data status attribute to check whether or not the script is loaded. Finally, we'll need to append the script to our document. So we'll do document head append script. Now, if I refresh and open the Elements tab, go to our head, we can see our script tag has been added. What we need to do next is execute the resolve callback once we know the script has been loaded. We can do that by adding an event listener. We'll do script add event listener load, and we'll pass a function that will execute the resolve callback. And since the script is loaded, let's also update the status. We'll set this to loaded. Now if I refresh the page, type something in, we can see our Google autocomplete is working. However, some scripts might fail to load, so let's add another event listener for the error event. We'll do script add event listener error. We'll pass it a function that will execute the reject callback and set the script status to error. Let's take a look over what we have so far. We check if a script for this source already exists. If it doesn't, we create a script element, we set the correct source, the status, and we append the script to the document. Then we add two event listeners, one for the load event that will resolve our promise, and one for the error event that will reject our promise. However, we should also consider the case where the script is already loaded. So here we'll do if script get attribute data status equals loaded, then we'll resolve the promise. Now, since we're adding these event listeners, we should also remove them when the component is unmounted. To do that, we'll need to extract these two into name functions. So I'll grab this one and say onScriptLoad, and I'll do function onScriptLoad. And then this one will be onScriptError. Now we can add that on unmounted hook, where we check if document head contains our script. And if that's the case, we'll remove the event listeners. We'll do script, remove event listener, load, on script load. And we'll do the same for the error event listener. And finally, we'll remove the script from the page. We'll do document head, remove child, script. Let's do one more check to make sure everything is working. And it does. And finally, in order to reuse this in a different component, we can extract a composable. I'll create a new directory called composables. And inside this directory, I'll create a new file called usescript.js. And this will just export a function that will receive the source as a parameter. Now we can go back to our component, copy this promise, paste it in, make sure we return it, and then finally we'll just need to import that composable in our component. So we'll do import use script, and then here we'll just replace this whole thing with use script source, and we can actually inline this. And that's it. Let's refresh. And here it is. Of course, you can also use it with await. And async here, save, refresh, and here it is. Now if I go to my page with address, I can duplicate this address field so we have more than one instance. I'll refresh, open the DevTools, go to head, and here it is. The Google Maps API script is only loaded once, which is what we wanted. And that's it. That's how you can dynamically load a script file inside your Vue.js components. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, share it, subscribe, click the bell button, all that good stuff. Bye!